In this video, I'll talk about what decomposers are. In particular, so I'll be able to, or you should be able to explain the role of decomposers in an ecosystem by the end. Specifically, how they make mineral cycles possible, and how mineral cycles can then make life possible over long periods of time. Right. So you need to know what decomposers are and how they make life possible. Now, look at the definition first. A decomposer was defined as organisms that break down dead or decaying other dead or decaying organisms. So these organisms we're talking about here are usually fungi or bacteria. Right, and here we've got your fungi, so these could be mushrooms, for example, fungi, or even something microscopic like a bacteria. These can actually break down, again, dead or decaying living things. So dead plants, dead animals, dead whatever, they can break down and return their nutrients, their minerals, back to the soil. Because in doing so, they carry out the natural process of decomposition. And again, decomposing things, that means returning minerals to the soil. And those minerals, remember, were things like nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, carbon, those important minerals which make life possible. So we discussed earlier in the food chain. In the food chain, we start with the sun. The sun gives energy to producers, plants for example, which are then eaten by the primary consumers. So for example, something that eats a plant, it could be a mouse. The mouse gets eaten by a secondary consumer, maybe a snake, and then the snake gets eaten by a tertiary consumer, maybe a falcon or an owl that eats the snake. Now that's all well and good, but what happens if those die? Well, if they die, if the producer dies, the plant dies, it will actually be broken down by these decomposers. All those minerals within its body will be returned to the soil by those decomposers, the fungi and the bacteria. Same happens with the mouse. Again, it will be broken down by decomposers if it dies, and the snake and the tertiary consumers. Now what do these decomposers do? They'll return, again, basically break down the body and return the minerals. Remember, those minerals were things like sulfur, phosphorus, carbon, nitrogen. Those minerals will be returned via the soil, from the soil back to the producers to start the whole cycle again. That's why these decomposers are part of that big cycle of life. Things are born, then die, then decompose, and that decomposition makes new life possible. But that's basically what you need to know. You just need to know what a decomposer is. So we're talking mainly about fungi and bacteria, but some other living things as well. And they can break down dead and decaying material to return the minerals of those dead and decaying organisms back to the soil. And again, their role, why is that important? Because from the soil it can be taken up by new plants, which can then grow, provide food for new animals and other living things, and then that makes the cycle happen, right? That's how they are part of that mineral cycle that makes life possible.